Hey guys, Malagant here. Couple of the thoughts in here about it is sort of like a league start, how you can like enter the trade at the league start was sort of like a approach that you could have. I had some like thoughts on that, and on top of that, like I kind of want to cover a little bit of like Exile Exchange, and maybe give some pointers about using the trade window as well. I want to like link this like how you can enter at league launch into also how can you like maybe enter the game economy right now as well while it is continuing, because it kind of can feel like it's inaccessible in the top end, especially, and it can definitely like affect the motivation of the player as well when it comes to like, well, it's not really achievable at this point kind of thing, so you would like a economy reset, but you do want to play the game at the same time. So I hope maybe this is going to like help you out a little bit in that sense and maybe give you a little bit of a boost. We'll see. So the first thing out of the way is like I think the armor scrap and the blacksmith whetstones are like a very interesting entry to a league, in my opinion, to like a resetted economy. Maybe not right now. That is why I want to say a reset economy, because I feel like those are going to be very accessible to even crazy new character, right? Like the first character that you open, you get like your salvage bench from Act 1, midway or something. And then afterwards, I think at the start of Act 2 or something, you're getting the currency exchange. Actually, I'm not 100% sure on that, but please let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong. So you get the currency exchange, and then afterwards you'll be able to basically like immediately start trading the whetstones that you do and the armor scraps that you do into probably exalts. And then I would say, by the looks of things, as long as you kind of know what you're doing, you probably don't trade too much and turn your exalts into divines. That's what I could tell you. That's going to be how you probably want to be entering, as investing into divines as early as possible, because like at the start of this, it was like 1 to 4, 1 to 5 rate when it comes to like exalt to divine, obviously. But like that is probably not going to be as drastic when the day comes, of course not, but it still is going to be, still exalts are going to be, dropping for a lot more people come the maps, but divines are not going to be. So that gap is going to be increasing no matter what. And I do believe that GGG is actually going to be considering some sort of like a divine sync into the game as well, which will, in my opinion, make it even more scarce. So that's out of the way. I would probably enter by like trying to maximize my gains from like blacksmith and armory scraps at a new league launch or like a reset economy. That is one thing that I wanted to mention in this video, because it's very easy to like, just collect the quality items on the ground and just like salvage them and then change them into exalts and then buy my upgrades that way. Another thing that I'm going to be showing is that like most of the time I started getting pretty good at price checking in the game, which is very important, unfortunately, if you kind of want to like maintain some sort of like a healthy currency gain. There are like several different factors, right? If you're trying to like just farm from like raw orb drops in this game, you're severely going to be I don't want to say punished, but making less divines per hour or whatever you want to call it, making less gains, let's say. Obviously, if you can like recognize the good items, then you will be able to trade them, and afterwards you're going to be able to make the extra currency that you wouldn't have otherwise. So recognizing if an item is valuable is pretty important, and then comes this Exile Exchange app that I'm using. It was PoE Awakened Trade that I was using in Path of Exile 1. And in Path of Exile 2, it's renamed, I think. I'm not really sure why, but it's renamed into Exile Exchange 2. So how it works is that, like, you can shift space, I think, right? Or I need to, obviously, open the program for it to work. That's a dummy. Let's load it up. There it is. So you can go to settings by like shift spacing, and you can like check the settings a little bit over here if you like, or you can simply control D, I think is the default price check. Basically you mouse over an item, you control D, and something like this is going to be coming up, and then afterwards you will be able to see the price of this. Right now it's only checking, the tick is over here, this only checking energy shield on my chess piece. So we can maybe check this much energy shield and this much spirit on a chess piece this way, and then it becomes the new price, and then you can add a resistance as well. But how do you actually price check this, right? Do you just like still set it for 30? No, what I would do is I would click the trade over here after clicking the ticks that I want to consider is better option, certainly. And afterwards you like, it will prepare the trade for you over here. So what you can do over here is that like we have spirits, it's downing it to 57. In my opinion, this is not a good thing, because like 60 is a sweet spot for opening cast on shock, for instance, for my build. So I would fix this to 60. I would remove these, and I want to teach you another thing over here. There's something called counts. So you add stat group, you say counts, and then you say 1 in this case, because we're going to select only one. We're going to search for only one of these. So any chest out there that has one of these is going to be showing now. Okay, so it will be one of these things that will show. And my chest has 39% fire resistance. So it's a pretty heavy fire resistance chest. Let's have 30% of one of the resistances in a chest with 60 spirits, 737 energy shield. Let's search for this, see the pricing. So this is how I would price check. This seems like a good price. Now comes the manipulative part. You need to make sure this guy is not price fixing, right? So what does that mean? It is sometimes people are going to be putting good stuff for a lot cheaper than the others, but they will never respond and they will never sell it. The purpose is to basically, you know, either crash the market of a certain item or just snipe that item when somebody else is, you know, putting about the same price value. In this case, probably not at all, actually. This is probably a legit seller. I am just putting it out there because it's very open to manipulation, especially when it comes to like some of the items that are required by like unique items or items that could be hard to judge, like understand. It could be giving like some stats, and then a new player can be saying like, okay, it doesn't have any life, it doesn't have any resistances, this is probably shit, I'm just gonna put it for 1 divine because somebody else is selling it, kind of a situation might actually happen quite a lot. So then comes the importance of knowing which build wants what item. This is very difficult to learn, and this is one of the good parts about this game, is, you know, discouraging as it might sound, because it kind of gives a little bit more depth. So the more you play and the more you see and experience different builds, right, you start understanding. And this experience doesn't necessarily mean that like you need to play this build. You can watch a streamer, or you can watch even a clip to understand what they're trying to do. You kind of need to like learn what is shining in a build, and then afterwards you will be able to tell, okay, then like this is the search that they're doing. Let's log into my invoker. I have a good example here that comes to my mind actually right now. So this is a very popular build as well, right? Right now with like Hova on the melee, and then like Tempest Bell and, you know, Herald of Ice is incredibly popular nowadays. So you mouse over something like this and see that, like, you know, most of the time they're dealing like cold damage, lightning damage, and physical damage can be converted. But you look at this and say that like, okay, there's 4 to 8 fire damage when we are deciding the price of this ring, right? So I control D again. On the Exile Exchange when I mouse over my item, and now we're gonna try and like price check this. Certainly this is a little bit difficult, more difficult to check, because like it is really convoluted, right? But we will try. So I'm gonna go with like rarity, intelligence, lightning damage is pretty good, and I'll also add this, and we will search, and then we will go to trade. It's very specific right now, but like it will maybe be possible to find. Now, from here, let's lower the values a little bit. And then lower the lightning damage a little bit as well. Search one more time. We have some stuff here, but as you can see, it is not that expensive, right? So now we are going to be checking out Lightning resistance, I like to do that counts one more time to give at least one resistance, right? Instead of lightning resistance, it could have fire too, and maybe for somebody else, fire is going to be more valuable because they're going to be missing fire, not lightning. So now it became about the divine. But what I meant with my point is that this is not useless. The way that the build works is that if you come onto the Tempest Bell, it's gonna say that um, let's read this out. Elemental ailments applied to the bell causes shockwaves to deal extra damage of the corresponding type. And hits, which would have caused knockback, increases the area of effect even more. You come to the shockwave and it says deals 30% more. More is literally direct multiplier, by the way. It's not increased, it's more per elemental ailment. So my character requires some fire damage coming from some place to be able to put ignite on my bell. Do you see where I'm going with this? It is very interesting. So learning things like this is very, very important. So then it means that like this ring is actually giving me the capability, putting ignite to my bell occasionally to increase my bell's damage by 30% more, just because it has fire damage to attacks on it. Let's start search like this. This thing is probably a good ring, actually. Right now, looking at this, is not bad whatsoever. I think it's going to be selling for 70, even though it's staying for 70 days. But learning things like this is going to be letting you, sell items that you would have probably just immediately sold to the NPC instead. And or you're going to be at the very least like pricing them right. Stuff like this is pretty important in this game. It's kind of a good thing that like it's hard to learn. I know it can be certainly discouraging, but I don't know everything either. When it comes to like summoners or when it comes to some of the warrior builds, I am sure there's so much that I could learn, and I'm sure there's like so much that I'm wasting. But thanks to that kind of the approach that this game has, we are capable of like keeping the value of the items a little bit high, which can be a good thing, and sometimes obviously it's not necessarily the best thing. That's also why GGG has like a different approach when it comes to like keeping the trade a little bit more inconvenient. I could certainly see their system, but as I said, like my harsh thoughts is that like I don't necessarily think that it's a good thing for a game to push you into either like alt tabbing or even requiring a third-party program to get some more advantage out of something. And this actually includes loot filters, which is yet another huge thing. A lot of people are asking me which loot filter I'm using. I level with Neversink, which is the most popular one. The Filterblade website is pretty good for leveling, but I don't believe that like it has a good late game. I ended up finding that CDR has a very good late game. You can Google CDR PoE2 filter, and you will be having that. But I've actually edited a little bit the Uber one myself. I have removed a couple of things that I don't necessarily want to see anymore, like the chance shards, the regals. I think they're way too cheap. I removed some of the catalyst. I removed like tier 14 maps, so it is even rarer in my case, but that doesn't necessarily mean that like it should be for you. I think you should still probably see the regals or like the 14 maps. It's just that like I'm getting very lazy at like doing 3-to-1 on the working match with the maps and stuff. So as you like continue your journey and like make more currency, obviously you want to like give up on some of the clicking because it just becomes too much micromanagement. If there's anything that you would like to add on the comments, especially I'm interested in what would you do to like make some currency? Yes, but like my point is not necessarily just any currency. I would like to know what would be a good option for a new player jumping in naked into the game that they can do every single time, not necessarily depending on RNG. You know what I mean? That is why I mentioned the salvage bench, because like it is very easy to collect quality items from the floor, and then afterwards just salvage them. And then you can say something like, well, duh, everybody can do this. Yes, but like these currencies are a little bit scarce in this game right now, unless they increase the drop rates. And it seems like it's, I'm not even like stacking to thousands on them. Certainly not. And you keep on like, when it comes to like valing items, uniques, even like a very late game character is actually just spamming these on the new uniques to like val them afterwards and see if they can find something good. So it's useful at any point of the game, all the time. So it's very, very interesting to me. Maybe you have an idea like this, and I would be very much interested in hearing it from you. I'm sure other viewers will be too. So drop it in the comment section. Thank you for watching, and thank you for the subs. I'm going to see you next time. Bye-bye.